Khadija radiallahu anha was known to be the richest woman in Mecca. But how did she amass this enormous wealth in such a time where women could not work themselves? Let's start from the beginning. Khadija radiallahu anha had married 3 times. She had sons from her first marriage, and after her first husband passed away, she had married again. She had no sons from her second marriage, and so when her second husband passed away, she gained all his wealth. Many men offered to marry Khadija radiallahu anha because they knew that if they married her, all her wealth would become theirs. However, Khadija radiallahu anha refused them all. Khadija radiallahu anha could not go and trade herself, so she would hire businessmen to go with her caravans and trade on her behalf. However, many would cheat and steal some of the profit, even though they were getting paid. One day, Khadija radiallahu anha heard about this upright, noble man named Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She decided to overlook his lack of business experience and send him a message asking him to take care of her goods on a business trip. Rasulullah asked his uncle whether he should go or not, and when his uncle agreed, off Rasulullah went. Khadija radiallahu anha sent her servant Maysura with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When the caravan returned, Khadija counted double or triple the normal amount of profit, a blessing from Allah. When Maysura detailed how upright and honest Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had been in trading, she knew she had to propose.
All scholars agree that Khadija radiallahu anha was the one who proposed. There is a narration in which Khadija radiallahu anha expressed to a lady named Nafisa, a servant of hers, of her interest in marrying the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so Nafisa was the one who went up to the Prophet and brought up Khadija radiallahu anha. This was going to be the marriage between the pure one, who is Khadija, and the truthful one, which was the Prophet. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was 25, and Khadija radiallahu anha was about 40 years of age. The marriage to Khadija radiallahu anha is a proof against the false claims made against the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam of him being a womanizer. The Prophet was a young man, and while he could have married women who were young and were not previously married, he chose not to do so. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Khadija radiallahu anha remained married for 25 years.
Together they had 6 children. His first child was a boy named Al-Qasim, who was born before the prophethood, but he passed away at a young age. Then the Prophet ﷺ had Zainab, Ruqayya, Kulthum, and Fatima. Fatima radiallahu anha was the youngest of all his children. The Prophet ﷺ also had another son with Khadija named Abdullah, but Abdullah also passed away while he was very young.
Khadija radiallahu anha was a very supportive wife throughout the Prophet's life, especially when he was being given the message of Islam and he needed someone to be by his side. Khadija radiallahu anha was the one who calmed the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he was fearful for his life after receiving the first revelation. At such a moment, instead of thinking that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was hallucinating, Khadija believed the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's words to be the truth. She ensured him that with his pious deed, Allah would never humiliate him. Khadija radiallahu anha was also standing with the Prophet in his mission to spread Islam and became the first of the Muslims. Despite being such a wealthy woman, Khadija decided to stand by her husband and her religion when the Muslims were exiled and lived in scarcity. She too bared that scarcity and let go all of her pleasures because she knew that her husband was truthful and the message he had given her was worthy of standing by. Due to the great amount of suffering Khadija radiallahu anha had bared as an exile, she became very weak and passed away at the age of 65. She had been a strong woman who had stood by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's side, and his love for her was immense. The year she died is therefore known as the year of sorrow. This sorrow overtook the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and plunged him into deep sadness. It was very hard for him to recover from the death of the woman he loved so dearly and who had been a faithful companion to him for so many years.